Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. Just going to do your handover video on your Globetrotter. It's a Dethleffs motorhome. And you can see the registration there, 53. Right, so on this off side, you've got on the actual door up there a nice catch that just basically pops into the lock just there, stops the door from opening in the wind. Bin inside there which sort of holds itself on with the lid. Your little lock just here, so you can have this in this position when the door's closed, or like that to lock it up. Obviously the door does lock on its own as well, but it's just there if you want it, a little bit of extra security. These two vents just here are for your fridge. The exhaust hole is just this one here. Warning light up there, nice LED going all the way across. Just down here is your waste drain, and you'll see that there's a little tool just here inside the toilet door. And I think if you locate that little piece in there, open it up, wastewater will come out. So that's how you empty out your wastewater. I'll close that over just for now. I will leave that there so I can drain it out fully towards the end of the video. The hookup point is just here at the back on the off side, and you can see I'm hooked up at the moment just because I wanted to show you everything working on the inside via the electric and the gas. You've got your toilet cassette locker just here, and so really nice and simple. Literally all you have to know, you haven't got any separate flush fluid or anything like that, so you haven't even got to worry about that. So literally lift up on this little yellow tab here and the cassette will come out. All you need to know is you empty it out from here. So you turn this and empty it out from there, and hold down your little yellow button there at the back whilst you're emptying, and that is it. The blue fluid goes inside there, and that's it. At the back here you've got a ladder to get up onto the roof if you should need it, and your bike rack is just here. The cupboard just here at the back, we'll just use two hands to do those both at the same time. It's obviously a huge garage. Your boiler sits underneath here, hence the little vents that are around the vehicle. And you've got a couple of seat belt points just in there, so you can see they're properly sort of like mounted down onto the metal chassis. You have also got a light in here, so you can see what you're up to if it's dark. And you've got a few extra bits and pieces that have been left in here. So there's a hookup lead and some chocks. So they're in there if you should need them. Your boiler vent is this one just here. I've got the boiler lit up on gas at the moment, and I can feel lots of hot air coming out through the bottom of it, which is exactly what you should expect. You will also, I know you can't really tell at the moment because it's actually raining, but you will also get a little bit of condensation building up from here, which is completely normal. It's literally just hot air pumping out through here. It just builds up and drips down. So you'll probably find, even doesn't matter how much you clean it, you'll probably find there'll be a little bit of a drip mark here somewhere. But it's the same on all of the motorhomes. And you know, there's not really much you can do about that, but that's that. Fresh water filling point. I'll just get the key out and unlock it. This one just here. So, stop it from moving. Well, choosing the right key might help. I haven't got the key on me. Basically, when you undo that, you just turn it 90 degrees and then you push in and around to the left, and it'll just pop out into your hand. But that's in its locked position at the moment where it's just spinning. But that's where your fresh water goes into. Yeah, nice and easy. Gas locker down here. This part does open up to help you getting, you know, the bottles in and out like that. But it's nice and simple in here. All you need to know really is the bottle turning on is anti-clockwise around to the left, and turning it off is clockwise around to the right. So I'm going to leave it on for the minute because I am using things via it at the moment. You've got a little yellow bit just inside here which can stay exactly where it is, and the one above it as well. They both can stay exactly where they are. They're just for us testing, basically. It's just for testing purposes. But yeah, that's it. You've got space for two of these 6 kilo propanes in here if you should need them. But at the moment we just give you one full bottle. So I've got that on all the way at the moment. So we'll just drain this out just for a minute, just leave that to fully drain. And I'll show you on the inside how we can see how much is in the tanks anyway. Right, so up here above the entrance door, you got your control panel up here, so it's nicely branded Dethleffs control panel. It would have been made by another company, but I'm not sure who that is. You've got on the right hand side your main on and off 12-volt switch. So without that on, nothing like your lights or ignitions or anything like that should work, because it basically isolates everything 12-volt, which is from your leisure battery. So turning that on, just push up on it and that turns it on. I've got the hookup plugged in, so that's why I've got this little yellow light on here. You can leave this one on. It's just basically like an auxiliary kind of button. You know, just basically turn that on if you want to use lights and things like that or anything. The next one is your fresh water level. So you push up on here and then look at the bottom scale. So I've got half a tank of fresh water. Pushing down shows you your wastewater level. So still looking at the bottom one, and we're empty. And that's because I'm draining it out down there as we speak. So that's completely correct. Half a tank of fresh water and no waste. The next one that says alarm, it basically means if you were running really low on fresh water, or your battery level was getting really low, you may get this light come on here. Battery level sensor is this one on the left hand side, and then we look at this top scale. So pressing up shows you your engine battery voltage. So 12.5 volts or 12.25 volts in there, that's absolutely fine. And then pushing down shows your leisure battery voltage. And then again, 12.5, absolutely fine. So, that's your control panel up there. Fire extinguisher and blanket just there. I'm not sure whether or not these have been passed or failed as part of your habitation sheet. I'm not sure what, I didn't do the hab check on this particular one. So if they aren't, then, it might be worth getting some new bits and pieces. But somebody in the past has quite nicely made a little sort of shelf for that there. And it does all sort of look quite nice there, so it'd be quite nice to keep it, I would imagine. There are a couple of bits and pieces around the vehicle that have been added in extra, as you can probably imagine. So you've got these little bits down here, so they're just USB sockets and things like that. The switch just down here does your light overhead, and there is another switch. There is another switch just up here for it if you want to use that. But you can obviously just leave it on and just do it via this switch here if you want to. The step comes in and out via this button just here. Just wanted to show you that working. And your awning winder is this one just here. Handle to help you get in just there as well. Right, so your two forward-facing seats here have got belts, as I said, so you can see them in the garage back there if you want to. Skylight up here works really easily. You just literally push this up basically, like that. It's new, so it's a little bit stiff, but that's that. There you go. Okay, the fridge is nice and simple, but I just want to run you through it. You've got a couple of fans at the back on the top vent, on the facing towards the fridge, and I think they run via this switch just here. So when you turn that on, the fans turn on basically. Yeah, that is what it is. I can hear it. So all that does, I just want to quickly explain that to you. The only reason you should need to use those fans just there that are on the back of that, they're basically little computer fans. They're only small. But if it was so hot outside that you can't quite get the fridge to get cold, or perhaps it won't even light up, then you can press that on and then use it like that. All it does is create a little bit more airflow, a little bit more oxygen going around. It's really, if it's really hot outside is the only reason you do that. And the only reason that is because sometimes when it's really hot, the fridges do struggle to actually get cold in the first place. So if you're struggling to get the fridge cold and it's quite hot outside, turn that switch on just there and the fans will start running on, and hopefully sort of create a little bit more oxygen to cool it down a bit easier. But that's what that's for. You don't need to use that day to day. Like I said, it's only when it's really hot. If you want to light the fridge up via the gas, you've got these two over here. And this button here is the ignition for your 2 hobs and the fridge as well. Okay, so I've got it lit at the moment, and you can see that by the little triangle symbol there is facing the little flame symbol. Okay, so all I did was I turned that dial so it's where it's facing now, and pushed it in, held it in whilst pressing down this button here. Essentially, you know, exactly how you would do a hob. So you'd push in and round to the left to light the hob up whilst pressing the igniter. Okay, same idea. Only difference being you've got to look down the little hole just down there, and you can see that in the video there, a nice blue flame, and that's how you light it up. So I hope that made sense. You just essentially, if I turn it off now, that is off, and I'll show you in there the flame will be off. There's no flame in there anymore. And then to light it up, all I'm going to do, turn this round to here, holding in there now, and I'll let go. Hopefully that's lit up. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, there you go. So that's a good example, actually. See, because I couldn't see it from, you know, if I was doing it in real life, I'd have my head down there and I'd be able to see it. Because I couldn't see, I had a look, it wasn't lit, and all I did was just pushed on the igniter again and it lit up. So that's all you need to do. So basically, the gas on the fridge is one of the two. The gas and the mains electric are the only ones that actually get the fridge cold by itself from start. The gas is probably the quickest way to get it cold, really, but the mains electric is just as good, really. You know, they're very close. But the way that you should really use it is you need to get the fridge cold, and they do take about 3 or 4 hours to actually get completely cold. And so, for example, if you were going to go away tomorrow morning, I might advise you to get the fridge lit up, or turn it on the mains here the night before you go away. Sorry about the noise. So yeah, perhaps light it up on gas or turn it on the mains like I have now the night before you go away with all your stuff inside, so that the morning that you'll go out to your fridge and it'll be all nice and cold. And then once you are ready to go, all you need to do is turn it off, either the mains or the gas, and then turn it on to 12 volt, which is the little red one down here. So what the 12 volt does is it maintains whatever temperature you've got inside the fridge. It maintains that cold temperature whilst your engine's running and whilst you're driving. So the reason why I've explained it like that is because if you don't pre-cool the fridge, start the engine up and turn it over to 12 volt, when you get to where you're going, the fridge won't be cold. So all the 12 volt does really is maintains the fridge's temperature that you've already put in it. Okay, so you do need to pre-cool the fridges before you set off to wherever you're going to go, and then switch over to this one just for when you're running and you're driving. Okay, if you have a mains cable plugged in like I do at the moment, I would my advice would just be to use it on that one. Just literally use it on that, and it just does the same job as the gas. Okay, so 3 or 4 hours and the fridge will be nice and cold. Alright, well that's how you use the fridge. So I'm going to leave it on the mains just for a minute, just because I've got it plugged in, so why not. This switch just here does these really nice little LED lights underneath this cupboard, which I actually think look quite nice. Loads of storage underneath here, and access to your gas isolators if you should need them. So if you wanted to isolate the gas from your fridge, which is the top one, your hob, which is the middle one, or your boiler, which is the bottom one, then you can do that from there nice and easily. These steps just pull out like that in order for you to walk up onto the bed. Okay, so the boiler controls are really, really nice and simple. So you've got, I'll just quickly tell you the top one first, because it's the easiest part basically. So I've got a mains cable plugged in at the moment, so I can use this, okay? And all this is a water heater, a mains powered water heater. So it's in the same unit, it is the same boiler, But it basically means if you've got a mains cable plugged in, you can turn that on and it will light up like it has done, and it will start heating up the water inside the boiler via the mains element and no gas. Okay, so that's there if you want to use that. If you don't have access to any gas, you can still heat your water up via that switch just there if you have a mains cable plugged in. If you don't have a mains cable plugged in, and in fact even if you just want to use your heating, because the heating is gas only, then you've got to come to this bottom one here, which is still nice and simple but a little bit more to get your head around. So I'm going to turn it off for a moment just so you can see it all from start. So if I go up on here to 40 or 60, that is hot water only on gas. Okay, so the boiler will light up exactly like I showed you on the outside, and you'll still get that hot air coming out through the bottom, but all it will be doing is heating up your water. Okay, if I go back to the middle again, that turns the boiler off. If I go down one to the little gas flame symbol, that's heating only. Okay, so no hot water, just heating, and that is only on the gas. Okay, if I go down two, and I've still got that gas flame symbol, which is heating, but I've also got 60 degrees hot water as well. So that's heating and hot water on gas. All right, so if I didn't have a mains cable plugged in, and I wanted to heat the van up, but I also wanted to get the hot water going, I'd go all the way down to the bottom. But if it was a summer and it was warm and you don't need any heating, but you do still want hot water, you'd go up to the top or to 40. So that's your two different temperatures of water. Okay, so I'm going to turn the boiler off now just by going to the middle. And like I said, if you didn't want any heating at all, you did have a mains cable plugged in, but you wanted to heat your water up, then you can just do that one there. And then after about half an hour, 40 minutes or so, you'll have hot water at your taps. Now, there's one thing I want to just explain. If and when you want to use your boiler, if you want to light it up to get the water hot, you need to do this one thing first. So, essentially, turn your power on up there, turn this little R button on here, and come over to your sink. And you just literally, it's as easy as this, but you do just need to pull the water through. So, there's your cold water coming through nicely. And then we'll try the hot. Now the hot will already be hot actually, because I've had it on for 20 minutes or so now, I think. So there you go, already coming through nice and warm. And so the water coming through nice and clearly like that proves to me that the boiler is full of water. If I pull the hot tap like that and nothing came out the tap, then essentially it means that you're not completely pressurized and you shouldn't really be using your boiler yet. Okay, so it's not the end of the world if you do, but you can't, if you light the boiler up for hot water, then it is the end of the world basically. Without trying to scare you, if you if I turn this button on here to heat the water up via the mains and the boiler was completely empty, you're quite literally doing exactly the same job as what you would do if you were to light up an empty kettle. Is doing exactly the same thing as that. Okay, so it's really important to make sure that your boiler is completely full by doing what I've just shown you there before you try and use the boiler at all over there, over there. So just bear that in mind, it's really important to do that. Back here you've got a couple of bits and pieces. So you've got this is really where you'd probably want your TV, I would imagine, if you wanted to put a telly anywhere. You've got your aerial point, a 12 volt point and a 240 volt point there. So if you wanted to use a telly, this would probably be your best bet as to sort of where to put it. What else? There's a nice little cover for your sink here if you want to use that. You can. Also got another one there if you want to use that, almost like a bathroom sink. But the last bit's really is going to be the bathroom, I think. So I don't really need to show you how to use the shower because it's literally just the same. It's just a little micro switched mixer tap. Just change it, move it wherever you want to up there. You've obviously got this little bit of carpet down here which you should take out if you want to use the shower. but it's just there to be sort of decorative really at the moment. The toilet itself is nice and simple. I'll just quickly run you through something else first though, just remember that. So this here is the actual inside part of your hookup point. It looks a little bit strange being in here, but that is just how they've built the vehicle. So mains cable is here, and you've got a little bit of trunking going in there, and that is because your trip switches or your mains isolators are up in this cupboard inside the bathroom, which I know seems a little bit strange, but that is just how they've done it. So your main RCD is this one here on the left hand side, and your various, actually no it's not, I think it's this one over here on the very right. So if basically something doesn't work on the mains and you've got a mains cable plugged in, come in here and have a look and make sure these are all in the upright position. If for any reason any of them are down, it will mean that something's gone wrong at some point because they're all up at the moment. So just bear that in mind. If something is not working on the mains, have a little look in there and see if you can't just flick something up and try it again. And last thing is the toilet. So you've got a button just here which pumps around your freshwater flush fluid, and a little lever on the side which opens up the flap to drain into the cassette. So it's really simple. It is as simple as that. You need to make sure that you, well, the idea is that you put a little bit of flush fluid round, do your business, put another bit through, and then empty it out. Okay, that's sort of like the way that you're supposed to do it. But other than that, it really is as simple as that. If I just turn these lights off for a minute, close all these bits down. So I'm just going to, just sort of roughly show you all the things that you should be doing before you sort of set off and start driving again. All your bits and pieces like that, put them all down. If you're going to be having stuff in the fridge and you were about to, if you were packing up and you were going to start driving off, then really you want to switch over to your 12 volt. Turn your gas off before you start driving, 100%. You have to do that. If you don't turn your gas off before you start driving, I'll just quickly explain to you what will happen, or what could happen. If you were in an accident, obviously that's not something we should talk about, but if you were, the absolute last thing that you want is, pressurized gas coming out anywhere, because you've got about 37 millibar is the pressure that it sits at in those pipes. So if for whatever reason you had a bit of a knock or something like that somewhere, and a gas pipe gets knocked off, you're going to have pressurized gas pumping out in anywhere, any place in this entire van. There's gas pipes all over the place, so you need to make sure that you turn that off before you start driving every time. But yeah, so that's about it really. Close all your windows over. Another tip I would give you is try not to, I've seen quite a lot of the time you find people driving along with the blinds across like this. It's okay, but what will happen is if you do this all the time, and in fact even if you leave the blinds down all the time, if you left the fly screen down like this all the time, pretty soon after a couple of weeks or a month or however long you leave it there, this won't be tensioned enough to go back up on its own. Does that make sense? So if you leave it down all the time, it won't go back up on its own because it's lost its tension. So you need to make sure that you put them back up. If you're going to be leaving the vehicle, then really they should be up like this. But I understand that for security sort of stuff you might want to put them over, but as best you can, just try and leave them open, because you will lose tension in all those blinds at some point if you don't. So, but that's that. Other than that, in the cab you've got a couple of bits, not a huge amount really. You've got your bonnet release, is that one just there, and your steering column adjustment is that one there. You've got manual winding windows, so not much to go wrong in here really. It's all nice and simple. Just a singled in head unit up there. Your indicators, hazard lights, sorry, not indicators, are from there, and all of your sort of heater controls are all these bits just here. So you've got recirculate to the left, or the opposite, drawing air in from outside onto the right. Fan control, fan speed setting, temperature, and actual fan position settings. 5-speed manual gearbox. Reverse is over and up to the top left, whilst lifting up on this little handle at the back. lights and indicators are on this left-hand stalk just here, and your washers and wipers are on the right. So if there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you want going through again, you just let us know. But otherwise, I think I've covered everything, and we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.